Good afternoon. I thank all of you for being here this afternoon. It's kind of a short notice. Folks, I'm going to cover some issues that I want to make sure that I addressed as we're getting close to the holiday season. I've got some personal issues that I got to take care of back home, so I wanted to address this issue as soon as possible. For the last month, there's been an issue of a voter no confidence. I'm going to talk about that. But before I do that, I want to start off by thanking the officers, the men and women of the Phoenix Police Department, for a great year in 2014. This has been just an incredible year for us in relation to fighting crime. We're anticipating about a 7% reduction of crime for our city. I want to thank the officers for the work they do out there every single day. I want to thank the officers for embracing the direction of our organization and accepting and embracing the high policing standards that I want and they want for this organization. I wanted to thank the officers for their unconditional police service. And I kind of want to define that for you because I want to make sure you understand what I mean by unconditional police service. Our officers have been through some tough years, starting with 2008 when we stopped hiring police officers. And of course, we've had budget cuts and pay cuts, and even pension was on the table there for a while. But through it all, and even through some really terrible disasters like losing officers in the line of duty, my officers still came to work every day and gave it all for the citizens of Phoenix and the Phoenix Police Department. That's what I mean by unconditional police service. They got the job done every single day. This year, in relation to crime statistics, I can tell you right now that our homicides are down 11.6%. Violent crime is down 4.9%. Property crimes are down 6.9%. And as I said, we're anticipating about a 7% reduction of crime. Since my arrival in May 14th of 2012, I wanted to focus on the well-being of the organization and the mission of policing and the partnership with the community in relation to community policing. Topics that were of grave concern to me when you're inheriting a police department that is not hiring, and you're already down about, when I came here, almost 300 officers, and to date, we're almost at 600 officers we're down. When you inherit an organization like that, the first thing that you've got to be able to address is officer safety. So officer safety was a huge issue for me as I came here on May 14th of 2012. I still wanted a crime reduction. And you heard me talk about things like the highest policing standards. You heard me talk about the nobility of policing. You heard me talk about the oath of office and how our department would take the oath of office every year. And considering the climate that we're in right now, I think that's a wonderful thing to continue because it just shows the commitment of our officers to our community. You heard me talk about the mastery of policing. And what the mastery of policing is that we all understand how to do police work. And I know what Sergeant Crump knows, and he knows what I know. And we share that information, and we're fighting crime together. So we reinstituted things like the police memorial, our officers award ceremony, and again, unconditional police service was the motto of our organization. In relation to things we accomplished during my tenure here, I can tell you, again, that we're anticipating a 7% reduction of crime. All 3 years that I was here, that I have been here, we've had a crime reduction. All 3 years. And this one, we're going to see the biggest one we have ever had. We've come in under budget 3 years in a row. And again, considering all the hardships that our organization was going through, that's quite a feat. Continue to do more with less, almost 600 officers less. We continue our partnerships with our communities. I love the Coffee with a Cop, where we get to visit with the community and talk about various issues. But folks, I got to tell you that the city of Phoenix has critical incidents every single day. Every single day. I'm almost embarrassed to be up here talking about a vote of no confidence specific to the critical incidents that we deal with every day. We had one this morning where a man yielded a knife at our officers, and they had to defend themselves. So we deal with critical incidents every day. We have high-profile criminal acts and investigations that occur daily. The Father Walker investigation, the DPS trooper James Casey. We have incidents that break our heart. like when we lost Detective John Hobbs. But through it all, we continue to have police strategies. We continue to look for ways to restructure for sustainability of policing, because again, our budget's not improving, and we're not getting bigger, we're getting smaller. The transparency of shootings and officers' police shootings, I think, is very important for us. We have to be transparent with our community because we want their public trust, and we have to hold our officers accountable. So in 2012, upon my arrival, I was informed that we would not hire officers until 2015. And what police chief would take that on? You have to have a police chief who has commitment and who has a passion for policing. And folks, when I walk out of here, I'm not walking out of here with another pension. I'm not. I'm doing this because I love policing, I love police work, and I have a passion for policing. And that goes so well with the men and women of the Phoenix Police Department because they have an incredible passion for policing. So, again, I decided to focus on three things: officer safety, crime reduction, and the mastery of policing. And I had a goal for our department. I still had a goal for our department, and that was to make the city of Phoenix the safest major city in America, even though we're still down officers. High visibility presence. Folks, let's talk about the things that we're hurting. I want you to understand that when I came in here in 2012, I knew these things were coming. You don't stop hiring in 2008 and expect things to just keep on rolling. I'm amazed, absolutely amazed, that we continue to reduce crime. But I want you to know where we're hurting in this organization. We are hurting in high visibility presence. And that means people seeing police officers all over this city. We're almost 600 officers down, and we police a city of 519 square miles. Investigative follow-up. Folks, I made a commitment that patrol would be my primary responsibility in making sure that the officers out there in the field always had cover officers helping them. So my focus has been to always staff patrol at its highest peak that I could afford. But investigative follow-up is hurting right now. And the last thing is training. Training. When you take on an organization that's down this many officers, if you want to continue training, that means people have to come out of the field to train. It's a hard road. I don't know where the impression came that, that getting from 2012 to 2015 was going to be easy, because I knew it wasn't. And some of the things we're seeing now, some of the challenges we're seeing now, is exactly what I anticipated. I re-implemented training in the Phoenix Police Department since I've been here. These are all issues that I anticipated and I prepared for. We prepared for. And the men and women of this organization delivered. Yes, when City Manager David Cavazos hired me, he hired me because he was looking for a change agent. And he was looking for a police chief that he had confidence in that could get him from 2012 to 2015. Well, folks, we're about 2 weeks away from 2015. And we're about to start hiring again. I'm proud of the fact that we're here right now. So let's talk about the vote of no confidence. On November 17th, PLE and the Phoenix Police Sergeants and Lieutenants Association held a joint press conference. And they announced that they were going to do a vote of no confidence survey against the Chief of Police. I think their mission was very clear. They wanted to secure a vote of no confidence to terminate the Chief of Police. Kind of a standard operating procedure for these two police union boards. They also stated they would be releasing the vote of no confidence by December 10th, 2014. And here we are a month now into it, and they haven't released anything. Folks, I would tell you, to date, no results have been released, and it is my understanding they're not releasing those results because they don't have the numbers to validate the vote. They don't have a vote of no confidence. It is my understanding they have now extended the time to release the vote of no confidence to the end of the year. And again, because they don't have the votes. It is also my understanding that they're now calling people by phone repeatedly, pleading for them to vote because they don't have the votes. It is also my understanding that a number of ballots have been returned to the voters because the union had the wrong return address on them. Again, they don't have the votes. This vote or no absolute failure, and in a failed attempt to disrupt the management of this organization, and the union actions have hurt the department's public image with our community. They have damaged the reputation of our officers in this organization, and let me be clear that a vote of no confidence is not the measure of true police work and value and leadership. It's merely a tactic, in this case, to terminate this chief. Let's talk about union collaboration. The unions have been telling everybody that I won't work with them. That is just absolutely not true. We've collaborated on 410 shifts that I agreed for our officers to stay on. We collaborated on rebounding and reducing from 8 precincts to 6 precincts. We collaborated on moving burglary detectives back to the precincts. We collaborated on our disciplinary policy. We collaborated on our new driving policy. So why am I here? I'm here because the union board is using a vote of no confidence to have me terminated and again disrupt the operation of this organization. I'm here because a city council member, Sal DeCiccio, requested that I be removed from office, a clear violation of the city charter and a violation of the law. And I've asked the city manager to address this issue, and I've asked him to do this by memorandum. For the past 10 years, these union boards have continuously targeted previous police chiefs for termination. As I've said before, the mission of the unions should be the well-being of the organization and not the destruction of it. I will tell you that these unions are not in touch with the officers they represent. So let's talk about contracts. PLE has a 2-year contract with the City of Phoenix. The Phoenix Police Sergeants and Lieutenants Association has a 2-year contract with the City of Phoenix. There have been contracts in place for decades with these unions. These contracts cover wages, hours, work conditions, and during my tenure, I have worked within the parameters of these agreements. But your police chief does not have a contract. I'm requesting a contract from the City of Phoenix. I'm requesting a 2-year contract by the City of Phoenix as soon as possible. And that contract will conclude on December 31st, 2016. This contract has no request for additional pay increases. I will receive the same wages, increases, and decreases my officers receive by council. And there are no pension guarantees on this contract. I think it's important to have a police chief with a contract to protect the rights of the citizens and to have high policing standards and it will give you public trust. I want to continue to represent the men and women of this organization. I'm very proud of them. We need to stop the union attacks determined to terminate services of a police chief based on rhetoric and political posturing. The chief's job and the leadership of this organization should never fall prey to the politics of the unions, the demands of public safety, our citizens, and the safety of our officers demand we do not allow this to happen. It's time to silence the critics. Folks, I don't like sports analogies, but I'm going to use one with you. When an owner of a team has issues with maybe not having support out there with his coach, what does he do? He gives him a contract. And we silence the critics. Folks, I'm asking, as I said earlier, I'm asking for a 2-year contract. It's time to silence the critics. It's time to silence the police unions and make sure they understand that they have a right to collaboration. And I'm thoroughly willing to visit with them, but they cannot run the Phoenix Police Department. The consistent and repetitive actions and demands of these 2 union boards are damaging the image and the reputation of this department, and I won't stand for it. I strongly believe that the union boards are not in touch with the officers they represent. And in conclusion, it is time to silence the union critics who are not in the fight or leading the fight against crime. This is extremely important. President Obama said that there is a simmering distrust toward our officers across the country. We need to correct this perception, including here in Phoenix, Arizona. Yesterday in the city council meeting, the citizens of our community spoke to the mayor and council about higher policing standards. They talked about accountability. They talked about public trust. These are the same issues I've been addressing since my arrival here. One comment, a citizen requested a citizens oversight board. Folks, we already have that. We actually already have that. It's called a Civil Service Appeals Board. They're all civilians on this board, and the way it works is this way. If I discipline an officer, I make a decision regarding that discipline. The officer then appeals it to the hearing officer. The hearing officer hears the information, hears the evidence, and makes a recommendation to the Civil Service Appeal Board. The Civil Service Appeal Board hears the final appeal, and they make a decision, and their decision is final. And their decision is final. I must tell you, I find their final decisions extremely disturbing. Extremely disturbing. I've seen terminated officers reinstated who were terminated for criminal offenses and use of force issues. I've seen supervisors of rank reinstated to their supervisory rank after being demoted. I've seen officer suspensions reduced to minor disciplinary action. I believe that the chief of police should have the final say on all disciplinary matters after appeals have been reviewed by the appeal boards. I'm open to their recommendations for one final review by the chief of police, but I believe I should own the final say. I have forwarded a memorandum requesting a city audit review of our Civil Service Appeal Board's actions. To date, I have never seen a yearly report, a quarterly report on their actions to anybody in the city of Phoenix. Who do they report to? These hearings are not open to the public. They should be open to the public. I think it's very ironic that the entire country is discussing officers' accountability on use of force and arrest powers. And our unions, our union boards, PLE and PPSLA, want me fired for holding officers to the highest policing standards. I lead men and women who have the power of arrest and the power to use force when making an arrest. And with this power comes great responsibility. I want you to know that the officers of this department know this and embrace and accept this responsibility. My officers want the highest policing standards. Let me repeat that. My officers, our officers in the city of Phoenix, want the highest policing standards. They want to be recognized as the best law enforcement agency in the country. And they want public trust. So I want to leave you with one final thought. If I'm to be terminated for upholding the highest policing standards, that will be a first in policing and a disgrace to our city. Our city management needs to decide whether the police department is to be run by the unions or by the police chief. Thank you very much.
Chief Garcia is not taking questions.
Does he expect to be fired?
I'll let you make that determination.
Does Ed Zerker know he just said this? Is he briefed on this before the chief said this?
Ed Zerker is aware of this, yes.
Can we get a copy of the memo he was talking about?
What memo is that?
Sal, CCO.
Yeah, if you put in a public records request, I will give you a copy.
What
When
exactly
did
was
Ed Zerker know? Because when we talked to Ed Zerker before this news conference, he had no idea this was going on.
We sent a bulletin out an hour before the press release. That's when it went to the office.
And Mr. Zerker got it?
I got phone calls from City Hall, so I'm assuming so.
Will you
I haven't
confirm-
spoken with him personally.
Can we be clear on one thing, please?
I'll try.
The chief mentioned that civil service boards are not open to
some hearings
But
and
they
have
are
the,
open to
and
public.
have the ability
They
to
have-
open, and have the ability to open some.
They are open to the public unless they are voted closed, is that correct?
I don't know the policy over there, Donna, that would probably be better asked of that independent.
Yeah, the chief is saying that, that unions don't have the votes, for no conflicts. Is that documented? Is there information that we can get a hold of to see that?
I would turn you to yet another organization for the answer to that hasn't produced the results I think is what he's getting at.
And Trent, the chief also said that this was standard operating procedure for these unions. If I'm not mistaken, this is only the second time in 35 years that they've called for a vote on companies?
I think that he's referring to the previous, it was an attempt of one, 2 years ago?
Jack Harris?
That was not a vote.
No, there was a,
The only vote I know
I'm
of
not
was
sure
Ruben
what they,
Ortega.
I'm not sure what they called it. I think we had one, Ruben Ortega, and there was some sort of PPSLA or plea vote a couple of years ago when we first got here. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think they had
That was just
indicated that
morale.
after it was over, they were doing a morale check or
Morale
something.
survey, yeah.
What exactly does he want Ed Zerger to do about selling CCO? Can you move to the podium, please?
No, this is not my press conference, so I'm not, the chief's not taking questions, and I can't, I have not seen the memorandum myself, so I would simply tell you that, I think that he made it very clear that he has asked for them to look into a violation of law.
The city chart, that's correct.
Have other police chiefs ever had contracts?
For the city of Phoenix?
Yes.
I can't answer that for you, I don't know, I'm not aware of it. Not since I've been.
If he does not get a 2-year contract,